Okay, now we have to ask a question, and let's assume that we're all investigators, police investigators. We have just arrived at the scene of a crime. Now, when you arrive at the scene of a crime, the first thing you do is you ask what happened, and you cordon off the area to protect any tampering of evidence. Well, this isn't exactly what happened with the Pentagon, and certainly not what happened with the World Trade Center. We'll get to that a little later.
Right.
But when you look at the evidence, the photographic evidence, and as you just said, you described this very well. I've never heard it described as a tunnel, but you're absolutely right. We have a hole here, approximately 16, 18 feet in diameter, that has pierced 3 rings of the Pentagon. Now, the Pentagon is a very strong building. It's the most secure building, supposedly, not just in the country, but possibly in the world. And each ring has an inner and an outer wall. Each wall is approximately 18 inches thick of steel-reinforced concrete. So for something to pierce the first ring, it would have to go through the outer and then the inner wall. So that's 2 walls, 18 inches thick. That's 36 inches or 3 feet of steel-reinforced concrete. So you multiply that times 3 rings, you've got 9 feet of steel-reinforced concrete. Now, are we to believe that a 757, which is built obviously not to pierce this type of barrier, it's a lightweight, it's aluminum, is a 757 going to pierce 9 feet of steel-reinforced concrete? And if it couldn't do that, what would pierce 9 feet of concrete and only leave a 16-foot hole?
Stay with us, Dave. We'll be back with you and try to sort through this, because believe me, it even gets more compelling as it goes on.
Question is, or should be, if Flight 77 hit the Pentagon, then where is it? So we can get to that question afterwards, but this is all the more reason that we need to have a more independent investigation. I mean, since the release of the 9/11 Commission report, the overwhelming majority of people that make it a tradition to ask questions have seen that report as another Warren Commission. And because many serious questions were not even raised. As a matter of fact, if you do a search through the 9/11 Commission report, do you realize that they don't even once bring up Building 7? I mean, there's so many different things that they never brought up in that Commission report. And in fact, when Rudy Giuliani was giving his testimony in New York City, the room just was an outburst of people hollering. One woman was screaming her son was murdered and she wants to get to the truth of this. Another man stood up in the audience and saying, wait a second, can't we ask some legitimate questions? Isn't that fair? And then he was screaming before they took him out, your government trained and funded Al-Qaeda. Your government trained and funded Al-Qaeda. Keep that in mind. Well, okay, well, let's go off on that. Now, see, this is how we're just going through a logical succession of questions. Now we get to the 5 frames that were released from the Pentagon, from a video camera that was several hundred yards away. Now, before we examine those frames, let's just ask this question. Now, the Pentagon is supposed to be the most secure building, not just in this country, but again, possibly in the world. Now, I've been to my local Walmart, and I can look up at the top of the Walmart building, and here in Missouri, I counted 27 video cameras in Sedalia, Missouri, on the top of that Walmart. Now, if there are 27 video cameras surveilling the entire parking lot, how many video cameras would we be able to assume would be surveilling the grounds of the Pentagon on a 24/7 basis?
Much more than that.
Absolutely. So now we look at the 5 fuzzy frames taken from several hundred yards away with an incorrect date on the lower right corner, and there is no doubt that something flashes by in the first frame. We have one frame that shows something. And what is curious about that one frame is that whatever it is that flashes by just before it slams into the Pentagon is leaving a white trail of smoke behind it. Now, I'm sure anybody out there would realize that a jetliner does not leave a white trail of smoke behind it. Okay, and if there is going to be an explosion, as a result of jet fuel, you would see a dark orange and black type of an explosion.
Right. Right after impact.
That is correct. Now we have to ask the question, what kind of explosive or what kind of aircraft would have a white trail of smoke behind it and leave almost a white fireball of heat, which is shown in this footage?
A fighter jet could do that.
Or, what you said, a missile.
Or a missile.
Or a missile.